Turning now to Washington and the IRS Associated Press stories. One's a scandal. That would be AP. The IRS story, well, it could be heading there. Starting first with AP. On Face the Nation Sunday, AP CEO and President Gary Pruitt attacked the Department of Justice for its sweeping subpoena of phone records used by hundreds of AP reporters.
So sweeping, so secretively, so abusively and harassingly and overbroad that it constitutes, that it is an unconstitutional act.
For more on the AP story, I'm joined by Robert Greenwald. He's the founder of Brave New Films, and his latest is War on Whistleblowers, Free Press, and the National Security State. Robert, welcome back to Viewpoint.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
What a pleasure. So, sir, is the broad secret subpoena of the AP's phone records and naming James Rosen a co-conspirator part of what you would call the war on whistleblowers?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. You know, we've been working on this film for 9 months, but the timing of it couldn't be more relevant, but also more troubling. I mean, from the New York Times to Fox News and AP in between, this is a systematic effort to silence critics, to stop whistleblowers, and most dangerously, as you just heard, go after the press. Try to get people afraid of talking, afraid of cooperating. And one thing we know for sure, the only time we find out about the national security state or the military-industrial complex is when there's an investigation by a reporter or a whistleblower.
Well, I give you a lot of credit, Robert. Unlike some of the Republican legislators we just saw, you've been consistent on this issue, regardless of who's in the Oval Office. But can you explain what would be the difference between a reporter getting a big scoop and an actual whistleblower?
Well, a national whistleblower, a national security whistleblower, is somebody, by the way, who very clearly, this is not a leaker. A leaker is leaking because he or she has something to gain. John Brennan on drones is a classic leaker, trying to spin it his way. A whistleblower, like in our War on Whistleblowers film, does it because he sees something or she sees something that's wrong. They cannot abide by it, whether it's breaking the law, endangering lives, wasting money, and has to speak out. And that's what national security whistleblowers do. They speak out. Now, the most effective way they can speak out, over and over again, they tell us this story in the film, is to go to investigative reporters. They try to work in channels, it doesn't work, so they reach out to the press, and the press has been heroic in telling many of their stories.
Well, the AP's Gary Pruitt said the agency's ability to do their job has already been compromised. So let me ask, what sort of long-term damage do you fear could come out of investigations like these?
Well, as we saw in the War on Whistleblowers film, by the way, Jane Mayer, Dana Priest, Mike Isikoff, Bill Keller, David Carr, over and over again said that it's getting harder and harder to do their job because whistleblowers are afraid already. They already are being harassed. The government has gone after Tom Drake with the Espionage Act, an act about spying. So the fact that the government's coming after the whistleblowers hard and fast with lawyers, the fact that they are getting phone records, checking emails, even following people is crucially important to you and me because it's about our security, it's about our tax dollars, it's about saving lives. More lives are saved by whistleblowers than almost any other people who are speaking up and out in this fashion because they know what's going on.
Well, the Obama administration, as has been well documented on Fox, promised to be transparent on national security issues. So what do you think the AP and Fox stories say about that promise? Do you find any area where he has improved on this subject above his predecessor, President Bush?
Well, there's one area where he's done well, but it's not national security whistleblowers, it's other whistleblowers. And Obama and his administration has helped pass a law that, in fact, does help other whistleblowers get job protection and a whole series of other important details. But if you believe that the national security or the military-industrial complex is fundamental to the kind of country we are and the way we function, then unfortunately this administration has been terrible in terms of its policy, in terms of its politics, and how it has consistently taken the side and supported CIA, Pentagon, private contractors.
Well, according to a new CNN poll, around 53% of adults think the AP story is very important. Around the same who think the IRS and the Benghazi stories are important. I mean, do you think that's about right? Did you expect more public outrage? Because AP does seem to be the closest thing to a real scandal we've got here.
Well, it's hard because, look, people are struggling. There's a terrible, terrible economic crisis. People are without jobs. They're continuing to lose their homes. They can't pay for school for their children. People are still being killed in wars. And so to talk about whistleblowers and reporters feels somewhat abstract. So I didn't expect to see people picking up pitchforks and marching in the street. But I do think if you think about the issue and you understand its connection to a national security state run wild, a national security state that has more money and more power and billions of our dollars, then you begin to say, hey, wait a minute. Let's connect the dots here, as we do in the film, and say this is a deep problem that we need to understand that's fundamental to a country where so many of our precious resources and lives are being put into invading, occupying, and droning rather than educating and economic policy.
Okay, really quick before we go, million-dollar question. Why so much outrage over the AP story but not over Bradley Manning?
I think it's a really good question, and I don't have a quick answer for you, but I would say with time, I think there will be more unhappiness as people understand the AP story better and its implications to threaten and silence the AP.
Documentary filmmaker Robert Greenwald, his latest is War on Whistleblowers, Free Press and the National Security State. Thanks as always, sir, for taking the time to come on Viewpoint.
My pleasure.
Thank you.